Hello everyone, Tobin Industrial, and today we are looking at a Cherokee CBS1000, and this one looks like my old CBS1000, but it's not. It's actually a brand new, or a new looking CBS1000 Cherokee radio. If I just move the camera upward, you'll notice up here is my old Cherokee, right here. And the radio is in mint condition. Well, it appears to be in mint condition. However, there's some work to be done on this Cherokee radio. And although it looks okay, there is a fatal flaw. Not a serious flaw, but a fatal flaw. That would be something that needs to be repaired in order for the radio to probably work as effectively as a CB should. If you pay close attention to the Squelch button here, you may notice something odd. The shaft has come out of the Squelch pot. Now this radio, like I say, is in new condition. I mean, you look at it, if I was to show you, you'd certainly realize the radio's just looks like brand new, except the shaft is not into the Squelch. Now the Squelch works. If you work it internally, it works fine. So I'm thinking that this may be a radio that was purchased out of a shop as a repair, something that might have came there that was broke or returned broke, and I guess maybe somebody picked it up on a deal with the intention of repairing it and not ever getting around to repairing it. At this stage of the game, I am prepared to remove the pot from inside, and I'll show you some more videos in the future. Remove the actual pot and take it off the circuit board. There's a vertical circuit board here, the radio, and we'll have a look at that. I'm going to attempt to remove the pot, which entails unsoldering 3 legs from the vertical circuit board and undoing a nut on the vertical chassis, the metal chassis, and hopefully the pot will come out. That's what I'm going to attempt. Now, I've ordered a couple of volume pots on eBay. They are the 50K what do they call it? Pointometer, whatever they call it. But I do believe what I've ordered is a little bit shorter than the spec on this radio. It's going to be short by about a quarter of an inch. So what I'm going to do, in the meantime, I've ordered the 2 pots. They're relatively cheap. But in the meantime, I'll remove this one and see if I can repair it, because basically what needs to happen, I can put it back in there, but if you notice, this shaft is flat on this area here. It has to go into a groove and fit snugly to the base of this, where it flattens out and it stops and it comes in a circle to the round part. That's where it needs to be seated completely into the pot. I had it in, but it's not seating perfectly into the rheostat part of it. And so, with a relatively easy pluck, you pull it back out. However, I'm going to try to take it apart and get it to work, and then I'll have some spare volume pots. Anyway, I'm going to proceed to take apart the radio. Okay, we have the faceplate off, and I just want to point out to you where the shaft has been removed. You see it's missing from the Squelch place here. It came out of the can. And of course the Squelch, like I say, is still working, but the internal workings is not able to be adjusted now because it's way inside. You need a small flat-tip screwdriver. And while I'm at this stage of the game, I want to show you the faceplate of this radio. Although this radio is well designed and well built, I have to tell you that the faceplate, being made of plastic, is not as durable as it could be. I'll show you 2 things that you need to be careful of. You notice here these end tabs here. They have tapered screws that hold this on the sides. Do not over torque these screws in these holes, because it's just you know, brittle plastic basically. Not as bad as you would think, but not the best. So don't over torque, because you'll end up cracking these. Also, the keypad, if you notice, I'll flip it this way. I know it's upside down. The keypad here is, if you look on the back, is not the absolute best way to design a keypad. And if you push too hard, if you're abusive with these buttons, you are bound to break this mechanism, and you may have to reconfigure it somehow using silicone or gluing it in at some point. Anyway, that's a pointer with this radio. Be very careful with the faceplate, and also be very careful when removing your buttons, because these here, and I think this is what happened with this radio, somebody must have tried to remove the shaft and pulled it out, I guess. They're kind of glued in, and the buttons are really stiff. You can only pull them out directly, and you got to try not to damage them. It's very, very tedious. Be very, very cautious and careful when you're removing any buttons off a Cherokee, or you will be very sad once you do damage to the button or to the shaft. Okay, I can see this is not probably the best focused, but what I have to do now is remove this nut from the shaft, what's left of it. And if you'll notice, there's 3 solder points here, and thank God there's access to these 3 points, and that's what's actually the soldering circuitry for the squelch pot. So I will use my solder sucker. I'm glad to say that I have one. It's an Ungar 7872A desoldering pump, and it works quite well. Locks very well and releases very well. I'm going to give that a shot, see if that works. Hopefully it will. And like I say, it's pretty easy access there, so I'm pretty confident I can do this. But in the meantime, wish me luck. Okay. Now, as you can see, the squelch pot has been removed, and here was the 3 soldering points here. And I'm happy to say that the solder sucker did work relatively well. And after a little bit of fuddling with it, I managed to get the solder removed from the circuit board there, and managed to get the squelch pot out. And I'll show you the pot now once I back off this. And here's the pot. If you can see that, I'm kind of in my own light here. I do apologize. So you can see the 3 pins that were in the circuit board, and of course it was this way here, coming out of the board like that, into the board I should say. And as you can see, there's no shaft there. What I intend to do now, I've never done this before, but I'm planning on taking apart this trim pot. By bending back the 4 tabs here, I'm going to remove this bottom part from the top and try to get the shaft to engage fully into the inside, and perhaps I may put a touch of glue or something there, I'll see what's there now, to lock it in place. And if I can do that, I will reinsert the pot and hopefully it'll work. Okay, I'm happy to report that it came apart, and relatively easy, the trim pot, what I call it. I don't know what the name of it is specifically, but here's the soldering points, and here's where the shaft goes through, and of course here is the shaft, and I've reinserted it into the plastic housing, and or the plastic whatever you call it, the rheostat I would say. And so now I'm going to put it back together and hopefully get it soldered back into the radio, and it'll work. Hopefully. Okay, made a slight error. Before you put this together, you have to put the shaft down through like that, And then you have to put this on there, of course, and then add it. If not, it's not going to fit. Just want to make the short part to make sure that nobody makes the same mistake that I just did. But anyway, all these components have to go together before you put it into the into the bottom part of the rheostat, and then into the can again. Okay, I've successfully put together the tabs. I push the tabs back down. You have to be very careful. And like I say, everything has to go back together, like I just mentioned. Now what I'm going to do before I put it back in is I'm going to irrigate this with contact cleaner in this hole right here. And then I'm going to put in some lubricant once it's cleaned out, just to make sure there's nothing in there. As you can see right now, that the trim pot is moving back and forth as it should. And we're just going to hope that it works properly. Okay, I now have the squelch pot reassembled, or I should say put back into the board. I've resoldered the 3 points, and I've torqued in this bolt here just to bring it tight. And now we're going to do a test. I've hooked up the speaker again so we can hear the squelch. And I had to plug in the mic, I guess, because I think without the mic it'll make no noise. So here we go to test to see if the squelch is working. Okay, radio power's on. That's full volume. Now I don't have no antenna hooked up to it, and I'm not planning on keying up, so that's okay. Now we're going to try the squelch. Oh, squelch is working. Beautiful. Well, I must say I'm very impressed. And I guess at this point I should probably thank some people who have been coaching me. First of all, Radio Nut, Daryl out in St. John's. And by the way, I'm on chat line now, as you can probably see. And so I've been getting some coaching all the way through here. So first of all, to Radio Nut 63. Also like to say thank you to TechQuest, Ray. And 26FB156G1DRP, Ian. I think he had his 2 cents worth there at some stage of the game. So thank you to you 3 fine folks. Without your help and guidance and mentoring, I could not have completed this. Although for some people this may be a menial task, not so difficult. For me, it's I'm pretty well getting to the point where this kind of stuff is comfortable. There's a lot more deep diagnostic work that could be done. But like I say, I'm progressing with this work as best I can. I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope it was helpful for you and helped you along your way to help you get to repair some electronics that maybe broke down in your home. Once again, thanks to the 3 people, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And this is Tobin Industrial saying good evening.